Once again, good afternoon. John Verlin, On-Demand Advertising Solutions, Digital Marketing Update. I found trending quite high on the internet about small business the other day, and I wanted to share some of these points with you. It was from the Association of Specialized and Cooperative Library Agencies, and it's most asked questions about small business. Now, you would think if you were going to start a business, and I think today there's probably a lot of, I'm going to call them micro businesses, 1 or 2 person operations that start, side gigs, people working 2 jobs, deciding to start a second business or something besides their quote normal job. And there's a lot of questions you need to go through before you even consider this. And I know in the past, you may have heard advice from people. I know when I was in the banking business and we had a lot of small business owners call to open a checking account. And these were typically younger people who, one gentleman I talked to was talking about taking his IRA or his retirement savings. And I'm like, do you really want to do that? You have to ask yourself some important questions. What are you willing to commit to, and how much do you want to invest, and where do you get the money, and do you crowdfund it, or do you get friends and relatives? A lot of things to consider when you start a business. But here are 6 things of a list of these, and I may do some more of these on other future podcasts. But number 1, they suggest, do you have what it takes to own or manage a small business? Now, this is kind of like looking in the mirror and doing an assessment of your strengths and weaknesses. You might get family involved, relatives, people you know in business to kind of give it a fair evaluation of you, and maybe your own track record in work. How well do you stay with something? You're your biggest asset, and an objective appraisal of these strengths and weaknesses is essential. You got to be honest with yourself. I mean, you got to decide, do you have what it takes? You need to answer questions about yourself. Are you a self-starter? Do you get along with a variety of personality types? How good are you at making decisions? That's an important one. Do you have the physical and emotional stamina to run a business? I knew a deli owner. The guy got up at 4 a.m. He was 70-something. And for years, 20-something years, they had a deli and worked hard work, had a lot of issues, things breaking down, people not showing up, a lot of things. You got to honestly ask yourself, do I really want this? How bad do you want this, particularly when you look at what you walk away with versus the time, energy, and investment you make to do this? How well do you plan and organize? Are you willing to travel? Are your attitudes and drive strong enough to maintain motivation? How will this business affect your family? All of these are questions you got to ask about yourself, and do you have what it takes? Second question is, well, what business should I choose? Well, usually the best business for you is the one in which you're most skilled, interested. A lot of people, have hobbies. They do things on the side. I have a friend who's an artist. He teaches art at a high school, and he does pastel paintings that he sells at fairs. He has a couple of galleries representing him. I don't know how well he does, but he's been doing it for a number of years. And it's a great vocation as a teacher, but he also has it set up now. He can continue this into retirement or whatever because he enjoys it. So are you trained as an artist? Do you want to do art on the side, or sculpturing, or, if you're a children's librarian, maybe you can consider storytelling. So as you review these options, you might talk to local experts, business persons about your opportunities in the area. Chamber of Commerce is a good source. Matching your background with local market characteristics will, of course, increase your chance for success. I actually attended a small business development center class at a local community college. There's a number of these around the country, something you might want to consider, because these are professors, or I should say business people who have turned professors to teach these classes. And the one I went to was, first thing you had to do, had a lawyer get up and talk about the legal things, which is another question we'll bring up here in a minute. But just his comments made you go, whoa, wait a minute. Really? All that? And I haven't even opened the doors yet? So it gives you a perspective, and taking a course or two in some of these areas of starting a business would probably be a good idea to kind of get your feet wet and have a resource and maybe even a mentor, somebody you could talk to that could help you with this. Now, what is a business plan and why do you need one? That's the third question. Well, business plan precisely defines your business, identifies your goals, and serves as your firm's resume. Its basic components include a market study, marketing and promotional strategy, current balance sheet, an income statement, and a cash flow analysis. How is that going to be used to pay expenses, for example? It helps you allocate resources properly, handle unforeseen complications, and make the right decisions. Because it provides specific, organized information about your company and how you're going to repay borrowed money. That's critical. And there's a whole other discussion about where you get the money, from whom you get the money, and what you need to make sure that money's repaid, and relations in good standing, that sort of thing. But it's crucial to any loan package. And if you don't believe me, try going to a bank to get a loan without one, basically just show you the door. So if you have also sales personnel or employees, or suppliers and vendors, this will help them understand your operations and your goals. It's really a project manager, so to speak, of how you've thought through this thing. Selling your vision. What comes to mind is Walt Disney years ago went on his own. He actually got ABC to agree to let him have his own TV show, and he used that time because he told, I guess, some sponsors, General Motors, whatever, that he was going to build this big magic kingdom. And he used the TV time to sell his vision to sponsors and banking partners, I guess, to buy into his vision. The drawings were made up, and he'd show them it was a genius idea to get funding for Disneyland. But this is what the business plan will do, is set the stage for what you're planning on doing, and so everybody can be on board with it from day one. Okay, now, an important one here is you need to define your business in detail. Now, you may ask yourself, well, that's kind of crazy. And you got to decide, what business am I really in? Now, a lot of business owners have gone broke because they never answered that question. There's a watch store owner, for example, they give an example here, realized that most of his time was spent repairing watches and most of his money was spent selling them. He finally decided he was in the repair business, quit selling watches, shut down the sales operations. His profits improved dramatically. So clearly defining your business or your purpose will give a true sense of direction as your venture develops. Another example was H&R Block. Story goes years ago that they were doing tax returns for businesses, for the corporate returns. And executives would occasionally ask Henry Block, hey, Henry, can you and Richard maybe do my personal taxes? Oh, yeah, I guess we could, and that just came out of doing their corporate bookkeeping or whatever. And that started H&R Block personal tax returns. So a lot of times you go into business with one idea, like selling watches, and you turn around and you're going, I'm spending all my time repairing them. Well, I'm in the wrong business here, so you switch it around. So you have to be open to that to decide what business are you really in. And a lot of that just develops as you see a customers increase, clients increase, and maybe an area you didn't even think about. I know I've gone through that in some of the further defining what I'm offering to my clients, and it can be an eye-opener because you find areas you didn't maybe think about. Even in your market research, something new came up. And so defining your business in detail is an important step to keep you solvent and in business. Now, what legal aspects do you have to consider? Well, licenses, permits, zoning laws, other regulations. They're going to vary from business to business, state to state. You'll need to consider requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act to accommodate needs of customers and employees. A lot of local resources you can contact, like the chamber, people like that, state and local government officials, Small Business Administration. Contact them. You might consult your attorney and or a business counselor for advice specific to your enterprise and area. Like again, courses at a junior college might help for small businesses. Decide what form of organization the business will be. Is it going to be a sole proprietorship, an LLC, corporation, partnership? These are all important, particularly once you get going and you start making revenue. I know a lot of people I had talked to at this when I worked at this bank who were customers of small business checking, and they had an idea. They were excited, kind of young, just all excited about how they're going to make all this money. And, do you need to go to all the trouble of the legal setup before you start a business because you don't even know if your idea is going to fly? And it's kind of a 50-50 balance. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, if you're not making money and you're spending money, it may not last. So why go to all the trouble? On the other hand, once you do start making money, or if you do some research to find that, once you do, you're going to have a legal entity set up pretty quick because you want to protect the business too in case problems occur and things like that. Okay, final question, and it's, what do you need to succeed in a business? Well, boy, is that $1 million question. 4 basic needs for some success in small business. Most people that start businesses don't have these covered, but honestly assess your own experience and skills. Then look for partners or key employees to compensate for your deficiencies. 4 things: sound management practices, industry experience, technical support, and planning ability. 4 things. If you're not good at all 4 of those, and most people have a variety of things they're good at, then you bring people in who have that ability. Whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a person in IT, a marketing person, a person who is a great organizer, knows how to get funding. Those are things to think about. You don't just shoot out of the hip here. You plan this thing. That's why the business plan is so important. John Verlin, On Demand Advertising Solutions. Great to have you with us. Love to hear from you. You can write me at johnverlin12@AT&T.net. Check out ondemandadvertisingsolutions.com as a website, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.